Howdy folks, Justin here, and we've had another week's worth of spoilers, and so I'm going to recap the week and talk about the cards we've been shown. You know, we are just 3 days away from the launch of Fall of the Dark Brotherhood, and I'm really excited. We've seen some really cool stuff. Legendsdex.com is down at the moment. I'm sure they're just overwhelmed with the influx of new players that we've been getting. So some of these photos I pulled from screenshots I took during the live stream um, that Pete Hines and Paul Denon did on Friday. So apologies about the quality, but they are there. And let's start off with Spear of Embers. I kind of nicknamed this card Spear of Crushing Blow. Crushing Blow, I think, is still a really good card that just doesn't see a lot of play. It's not as necessary as it was anymore, you know, back in the days of agility creatures being everywhere with their 3 toughness, specifically Moonlight Werebat, House Kinsman. Crushing Blow was a really solid answer to those creatures. When they got nerfed, Firebolt and Ward creatures kind of took their spot in terms of like just incidental power. Uh, but yeah, I think Spear of Embers is a really interesting card. It's the first prophesied item card. So when you prophecy this, you have quite a bit of flexibility as to what you can do with it. You can, you know, harm an opposing creature. You can beef your own creature. This could also make for a really shocking prophecy to an opponent who is using, you know, their creatures to trade into your creatures if you're playing Gardener, because this could screw up all their combat math real quickly. I'm just imagining a situation where I'm attacking with Reeve into a Gardener, or any other creature on a Gardener board actually, when my next attack is at a Gardener, trying to clear things up through combat. Spear triggers, and all of a sudden, like, my whole plan is screwed up. You know, the cards, I don't think, I definitely don't think it's overpowered. I don't know that it's even super powerful. 5 Magicka for this effect is probably responsibly costed, although it's not like really pushed in my opinion. I could be mistaken. I don't know that this is going to see a whole lot of play immediately. I don't know that it fits well into any current decks, but I do like the card in general. I think it's a really high pick in Arena. And I'm excited to see more, you know, I like seeing an item with Prophecy. I like that the 2 cards we've seen so far with Prophecy have not been like must includes, and they're not necessarily fantastic in decks that sort of abuse Prophecy to begin with. Let's move on to our next card here. And this is one of my screenshots. So I'm going to pull this out like this. Make my face disappear for a second. Okay, we're going to start with Dark Guardian, because this is honestly one of the cards I'm most excited about so far being revealed in this expansion. 3 Magicka for 2/5 guard is already, I think, really good. And then the ability, when your opponent draws a prophecy from a rune being destroyed, draw a card. Incidental, this card would see play, I think, marginal play without that ability, but the ability is super interesting. Dark Guardian is interesting because it's approaching a critical mass of guard creatures in Endurance that, first of all, could actually make a certain card playable. Actually, let's find that card real quick, because I don't know the name of the card because I never play it. You may notice I'm a little below 30,000 soul shards. I had to craft some Doomcrag Vampires and Dremora Marcanese for for memeing. But I think his name is Watch Commander. It's a 5-drop. And I don't think it's a bad card. Here we go, Watch Commander. 4/4 for 5, you know, whatever. Summon, give all friendly guards +1/+2. Well, you have enough guard creatures in your deck, and this is pretty powerful of an effect. And I really believe that Dark Guardian is on a power level that's going to see play in Constructed for sure. You know, somebody commented on, I think it was Charmer commented on Twitter, that the card that actually gets beefed up the most from this expansion so far might be Execute, and I see what they're saying, because Dark Guardian is great. I mean, 5 toughness on a 3-drop guard creature is just fantastic. This card will see play. I will be playing this card, and it makes me, even though it's a common and it's a pretty straightforward card, it makes me think about new ways of building decks. So expect to see Dark Guardian, at least for me, hopefully alongside one of my favorite pet cards, Gloomwraith. Finally, I'm going to cover my face up a little bit here. We have Protector of the Innocent. I'm gonna slide over here. Protector of the Innocent is a 3/2 guard prophecy for 2. This is the only card I think is gonna get exploited by the prophecy battle mage deck and uh, probably Archer too, actually. But I like I like having more guard creatures available, even if I'm fairly certain in this case it's going to be used in a very anti-guard like fashion. It's really straightforward. It kind of showcases what red does. Red does have a number of guard creatures, but this is a small aggressive guard creature. The kind of card actually that I think I might consider playing in my Tears for Giant Fears deck. The mid-range life gain Crusader deck that I've been having amazing success with. If you check out my Twitter, I've gone on some amazing tears with that deck. I hit rank 4 in an hour on the first day of the season with that deck. Just, the deck's really good. I think Protector of the Innocent will have a spot in there that I need to test. That deck's whole curve is going to go down a little bit once the expansion drops, from what I can tell, to incorporate Garnag, Underworld, Vigilante, and probably Protector of the Innocent, so be on the lookout for that. Those are definitely some really exciting common cards. Next up we have Marked Man, which is, again, a screenshot I took. Marked Man is not a particularly powerful card. This is a kind of the kind of card you would put to reach a certain level of synergy with other effects you're running in your deck. For instance, the 0-drop creature it creates could work with Swindler's Market cards. It could work with, well, I guess not a whole lot of things. Maybe with Watch Commander, right? I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting card. I don't think it's really particularly playable anywhere. I think that even as far as 1-drops in this color go, for Arena, you have better choices at common. So, it's sort of filler. It's the first card that I think that I've seen revealed that's kind of felt that way. But that's cool. I mean, we definitely need stuff like that. And Legends is, I think, historically very, very low on filler cards, especially compared to, like, honestly, any other game I've played. More of these cards are potentially constructed playable. Marked Man's just, ironically not marked for play. There could be a combo, though, with him we're not aware of yet. Certainly, you could get some mileage out of him in token decks. He combos, efficiently with 5th Legion Trainer, for instance. So, there are places to try him out. Next up, we have Stealer of Secrets. This is an interesting one, right? This is a finisher for an action-based deck that previously was just trying to burn you out. This card, I'm going to get this out of the way first. Earthbone Spinner is going to love eating this card, and if this becomes a big part of the meta, expect opponents to hold on to an Earthbone Spinner. That said, a couple things I want to say too. Art is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I feel like all the art in this expansion has really kicked it up a notch. I think it just looks amazing. This is no exception to that. This is a common card too, so this might open up new avenues of drafting in Arena, because in Arena this is going to be much harder to deal with, and there are a lot of powerful actions that you could grab up. Gobble up a ton of removal, play this as your finisher. This, I think, is potentially better than almost any other finisher in the game if you build your deck around it correctly. The ward is, of course, really nice. This is the first new ward creature I think we've seen. But I like it. It's unique. It's the sort of card that Madhouse Collection was filled with in the build around me sense. I am going to give this card a shot. I think it goes nicely with Tenebris. Speaker Tenebris, I think. The 10-drop new Intelligence Legendary probably fits nicely into that deck. I'm thinking of just the greediest control intelligence-based list imaginable. I like Stealer Secrets. I think this is a cool card. I'm really excited to see more stuff like this, more stuff that encourages brand new deck playing. I don't necessarily believe it's going to be competitive. I think people will play it. I think there are too many silence effects being run right now for this card to be game breaking. But I like the direction it points deck builders, and I'm excited to give it a shot personally. Okay, now we got Pete Hines there. Sorry about that. I'm going to cut you off here, Pete. We have Gristlehide Dreg. First new Dreg we've seen. Again, the art looks pretty cool. This was revealed during the live stream. I managed to snap up a screenshot. Those were all posted in real time on my Twitter too, if you're interested in checking that out. But Gristlehead Dreg's neat, alright? It's 3/5 for 5, which is, I mean, reasonable, the big butt. This is going to be a great card in Arena, I believe. It's a common, so you're going to probably see one of these more often than not. But when it takes damage and survives, draw a card is a pretty cool ability, right? Compare this to, there's a green card, Palmot Renegade, I think is it. It's called. It's a 6-drop, and or 5-drop it looks like. I'm covering it up. Let me keep sliding this over. Okay, when Renegade attacks and destroys a creature, draw a card. So, Slay, I believe this is going to be changed to Slay, draw a card. That's a 4/6 for 5. This is a 3/5 for 5. So the stats on Renegade better. Gristlehead Dreg, though, a lot easier to trigger. Doesn't have to kill the opposing creature. Can just attack into a 1/4 guard and draw itself a card. You know, Renegade doesn't really see play. It sees play occasionally in Archer. But I like Gristlehead Dreg a lot in Draft. I don't think it's going to see constructed play necessarily, but I think this is a sort of card that a lot of decks that in Arena have trouble creating card advantage. I'm thinking of maybe like Warrior. Picking up a Gristlehead Dreg could be a real boon to you, so be on the lookout for those. One step closer to Dreg Tribal, by the way. Alright, now we have the last, I think, revealed card on the stream. Really conveniently located little hand there. We have Grand Ball, and it's an action. It's an agility action for 2, move all friendly creatures. You can check the video on demand on Bethesda's Twitch to see this card in action. It's part of one of the missions in the campaign where moving around gets you benefits, but this card's actually being added to the game. This is a cool card. Obviously, it works really well with the smuggling cat that gives things +1/+1 when they move. But I'm excited, not so much to necessarily play this in constructed level Pilfer decks, because I don't think those are there yet. Although Skooma Profiteer, or whatever the new Skooma guy is definitely a step in the right direction for that deck. I'm excited to see Grand Ball in play because it's hilarious. I think of very few cards that screw up combat math as much as this one does. Obviously, it'd be funnier with Prophecy. I think with Prophecy, this would be one of the funniest cards in the game that was constructed playable and not RNG, really. I mean, like, there is the Prophecy element, but you would have drawn it anyway. I think Grand Ball is a lot of fun. I don't think Grand Ball will see constructed play. Mostly because of the existence of Shadow Shift, which for 1 Magicka also draws you a card. I think if this drew a card, this would be an incredible card. But I think this card's fun. I think it's the sort of trick you probably run in Arena as a one-of in a deck that's trying to race an opponent. I think that you know, the fact that you can stack all your creatures in one lane and then move all your creatures into the other lane in one fell swoop is probably the most constructed playable application of the card. Just you know, completely abandon the lane that your opponent's been stacking guards into, move somewhere else. I do like that idea. Maybe it sees play in the new Assassin Action deck that I'm trying to put together, but that's, I think, more going to be focused on completed contracts than moving creatures around. But it's worth a look. It's a fun card. It's a Madhouse Collection card, is what it is. All right, now we have some real power here in Eclipse Baroness. 8 Magicka, obviously an expensive card, but 5/5 that on summon and last gasp draws a card and reduces its cost by 2. This was Dazer's reveal, and I think this is a card that you're going to want to look at for Ramp Scout for sure. It's also a card whose power level is sort of hard to judge. I mean, like, the ability is obviously incredible. The problem is that you need to run this in a deck that gets to turn 8 and doesn't have to impact the board the turn it plays this. It does do something interesting for Altar Monk, though, which, I mean, I actually run my Altar Monk list with no 8-drop to alter into, because none of them really did anything I was particularly interested in. The only one that sort of appealed to me was Auroran Sentry, and Auroran Sentry, while reasonable card, is also not the sort of card that you want to play on turn 8. But the card advantage offered by Eclipse Baroness, I think, makes this, unlike Auroran Sentry, which hitting off as an 8 in Altar against another control deck is going to be pretty bad for you. Eclipse Baroness, like, you alter into this, And the cards you generate from it, in addition to the body, are going to be absolutely huge. Whereas Auroran Sentry is good against aggro, in theory, Eclipse Baroness is just completely insane against control. And I think as a one-of in that deck, I'm going to give it a shot for sure. A dedicated Scout ramp deck might run something like this. You know, if your plan is just to ramp into the biggest stuff as quickly as possible, there are a lot of ramp cards that just aren't played in most Scout decks anymore. And I think Eclipse Baroness could be a payoff for that sort of strategy. You know, you drop this turn 5 or 6, you got a 5/5, you get some extra cards to keep the gas going, and at 8 Magicka, like, you got some pretty powerful stuff you can be doing already. So the cards it's going to give you, and the cost reduction it's going to give you on top of that, you know, you're looking at potentially things like turn 8 Odoving, which I think wins the game against most everything. But I like Eclipse Baroness a lot. It's a really powerful card. I think this card is going to see play in Scout. I think this card may see play in a couple Altar decks. I'm iffy on it seeing play in Altar Assassin. It definitely, I think, will see play in Altar Monk. And just real quick, the reason I'm leery of it seeing play in Altar Assassin is Altar Assassin has access to Induril Archmage and honestly Shocking Wamasu, which is not a terrible thing to alter into. So there's that. Very powerful card though, and this card will probably see play. Finally, we have Corsair Ship, which is a pirate ship. 4 Magicka for an ongoing support card. Summon, you get a 1/1 pirate. When you summon a creature, you put a steel dagger on it. That's +1/+0 equipment. Corsair Ship is much more powerful, in my opinion, than it looks like at first. This card I think is going to be good in several different decks. I think this card is playable in Mage token decks, which aren't played a whole lot, but is an archetype that does exist, and I've talked about in the Color Theory episode about Mage. So this card is sort of a shoe-in in there. But consider what this does for decks trying to kill you with Nord Firebrands. It's effectively another Northwind Outpost, except it affects all your creatures. It gives you a creature itself. I think Corsair Ship is really powerful. It's going to take a very specific sort of deck to make it work. You know, decks that rely on generating more than one creature per card invested. But I think it's really strong, and I'm fairly certain this card will absolutely see play. The other combo with it too is with the Rihad creatures. There's 2 of these, and this lets you trigger them immediately upon playing them. I mean, so does Hrothgar Forge, but Hrothgar Forge is a 7-drop that doesn't create an immediate board presence. This is a 4-drop that does, and this means that for 2 Magicka, you're getting a 6/2 when you play this guy, and for 3 Magicka, you're getting a 4/6. So that's quite a bit of power, in addition to the 2/1 you get when you play it. So Corsair Ship's a strong card. Synergizes with a blue card that no one ever plays, Dragon Star, something like that. I don't even know the name of this card, but synergizes pretty well with a blue card that never sees play. Like I said, I gotta find it's a 5-drop. Dragon Star Rider. When Dragon Star Rider equips an item, draw a card. So, you know, a 5 Magicka 3/3 that has summon, draw a card, a little bit better than the 5 Magicka 3/3 that just eats the lightning bolt on your opponent's next turn, or the Spear of Crushing Blow if we're playing with our new cards. Either way, Corsair Ship's cool. Glad to see more support cards. I like support cards in general. I like pirates, so pretty excited about it. Anyway, that is a look at everything new we have had revealed in the last week since I did a last one of these, I believe. We should only have a handful more scheduled reveals in the next couple days. Looks like we're missing 1 agility card, 2 endurance cards, 1 intelligence card, 4 strength cards, including an epic. So there is that. 3 neutral cards and 3 willpower cards. So a number of cards still to be revealed, but the expansion comes out in 3 days. So that's all I got for today. I hope you're as excited as I am, because I mean, I'm just brewing all sorts of stuff in my head. I mean, for the fact that we might be able to finally make mono purple a thing, and I can play my glorious stalwart allies and my precious gloom wraiths, which by the way is a card I ran to great success in closed beta a long time ago now. I mean, that's 10 months ago now, I think. The I'm just super excited about this. That's a wrap, guys. I'll see you all on the ladder. Bye bye.